Hey, how's it going? My name is Lancer, I play Xin Zhao in the jungle, and in this video I'm going to talk about the new Hail of Blades and why I think it's better than Press the Attack and Phase Rush, two keystones that are also commonly used on Xin Zhao. In the clip before this you could see the difference between no Hail of Blades and Hail of Blades. You're probably going to see what I'm getting at, but anyway, I'm going to talk about the runes first, and then I'm going to show you 3 different games and how those ganks went, and I'm going to do some commentary over it. So let's get into the runes. Hail of Blades was changed this patch. I think it's a buff. They changed it from a scaling 75 to 125% attack speed to 110% attack speed across all levels. I think this is great for the early game. I think it's great for early game junglers that use auto attacks like Xin Zhao, and on top of that, auto resets like Xin Zhao's Q don't consume a stack, so you can get an attack in and then instantly reset your auto attacks with your Q, and it won't consume a stack. You will still get the boosted attack speed for all 3 attacks of your Q to get that super fast knockup. I think getting that knockup much faster gives you a lot more pressure during your gank. You don't have to necessarily run with your opponent to get that knockup. You can get it really early, get your W off as well for that damage and the slow, and then rotate with your opponent. I think that's much better than being so slow with your Q and then, for example, with Press the Attack, finally doing more damage, but it takes much longer to actually get off that 3rd Q, or with Phase Rush, where you have to run with your opponent for an extended time and give them more time to run to the tower, for example. So let's go over to the runes. Hail of Blades, obviously I just explained why I take that. Sudden impact for the bonus damage when you use your E. Eyeball Collection for more AD. And then Ultimate Hunter for the reduced ult cooldown. I didn't always have my ultimate up for a fight. I like to have that ultimate cooldown reduced. And then the other thing that people take is Ravenous Hunter. I don't think it's worth taking because Xin doesn't benefit much from it. He uses auto attacks. Ravenous Hunter works on abilities, and all of Xin Zhao's abilities are AoE. Ravenous Hunter heals less for AoE ability, so it might be worth it if you get your abilities off on multiple opponents, but that's fairly situational in my opinion, not to the point where I think it's worth taking over Ultimate Hunter. Then Absolute Focus for the bonus AD when above 70% health. Your health should be above 70% when you're ganking anyway, so having that bonus AD on a gank is very nice. And then Water Walking for, of course, the increased movement speed in the river. That does help when you're rotating around the map because you move through the river, or when I'm setting up a gank, for example. Just being able to move faster is very nice. And then, of course, the bonus AD in case I encounter the enemy jungle on one of the crabs or something. And also, I do notice from time to time, say that I'm playing on blue side and I go through the bush to cut the enemy top laner off from their tower. They often run into the river, and in that situation, it's also nice to have Water Walking. I have the increased movement speed so I can chase them better, and also I have the increased AD so I do more damage to them if they do run into the river. Then 10% attack speed, it makes your jungle clear much better. Then the Adaptive Force, of course, to do more damage, and then the 5 armor. With Xin Zhao, I don't necessarily build armor early. I tend to get the Warrior Enchantment, I tend to get Merc Treads, and then Triforce if I can. Unless I have to build defensive early because some AD is fed somewhere on the map, I tend to stall it as much as, well, not as much as possible, that's not the point, but because there are other items to get that I think are more important than armor items. So I take that extra bit of armor to reduce the damage from the jungle, and because I don't build armor right away. Anyway, those are the runes, let's get into the gameplay. Alright, on to the gameplay. In the first 2 games I start with the red buff and look for a level 2 gank, and then in the 3rd game I start with the red buff and I invade the enemy jungler. Started with the red buff because it gives me extra damage, it gives a slow, and makes my early ganks so much stronger. I think Xin Zhao is most definitely an early jungler who spikes at level 2, though you definitely get a benefit off of your W at level 3, but it's a massive spike at level 2. I recommend anyone who plays Xin Zhao to start red and look for a level 2 gank because you can get that dash, you get the increased attack speed, you get the dash in case the enemy flashes, or in case you need a gap closer to initiate the gank, and then you get that knockup as well. And that's why I take Hail of Blades, to get that knockup faster, to get that hard CC faster. So 1, my laner can react if they don't initiate the fight when I gank, because some laners don't do that. I generally ask my laners to start a 1v1. Unless it's too obvious, say that they're playing super defensively, I can't ask them to then start a 1v1 because it will be too obvious that they're suddenly aggressive. Usually that's a dead giveaway of a gank, so if they're generally aggressive, then I will ask them to start a fight so that I can come in while the enemy laner is distracted, and then I will try to save my E. That's a bit of a tip for you Xin Zhao players, or if you're looking to play Xin Zhao, is try to walk up to your target if possible and not initiate with your E, so that if they dash away or if they even flash away, you can follow up with your E. You're not always going to be able to do that, as you will see in some of these clips. I remember ganking the Sona and the Jinx where they were not necessarily in the situation. Let's compare it. In the situation where I was ganking, what was it, Misfortune and Thresh, they were overextended in the lane, so I didn't have to use my E to gank them. But when looking at the Sona and the Jinx, they weren't as overextended, so I would rely on the CC from the laner, and I would have to use my E to be able to gank them. So that's a bit of a tip there for you. I think I did it right twice in the first clip, and then once I make that mistake on the Lee Sin where I initiate with my E, I'm not sure why I did that. I think I was just too excited to jump onto him. So I make the mistake there and use my E, and then he dashes away and I miss out on the kill because of it. So that's a bit of a tip there for all of you. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about every single clip in this situation, but this should give you a general idea of why I think Hail of Blades is so strong, and that getting that hard CC as early as possible, giving the enemy laner as little as time possible to react to your combo is much better than, say for example, the extra damage that you get from press the attack, which isn't a huge amount at the early game anyway, or getting the increased movement speed from phase rush. I'd say phase rush, for me anyway, is a close second. I think it's very useful. I just don't think it's as good as Hail of Blades. But let me know what you think about it. Do you think that Hail of Blades is better than phase rush and press the attack, or better than any other keystone on Xin Zhao? Do you agree with me? Do you think they're about the same and that it doesn't make a huge difference, or that they're about as good? Or do you think perhaps that I'm wrong and that phase rush or press the attack is better than Hail of Blades on Xin Zhao? Do let me know in the comments. I'd love to talk to you about it, but let's try to keep it respectful. And that's going to do it for me. Hope you enjoyed the video, hope you found it helpful or informative, and if you would like to see more content from me, then be sure to click that subscribe button. That's going to do it for me. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time.